It's the 14th of November 2013. We are in Craneville, New York, which is part of Amsterdam, and we're doing a home interview. My name is Wayne Clark. My assistant is Suzanne Strauss. We're with the New York State Military Museum in Saratoga Springs. Sir, for the record, would you please state your full name and date and place of birth, please?
My name is Marcus Charles Kruger. Marcus C. Kruger, right? I was born in Amsterdam, New York, February the 4th of 1922.
And did you attend school in Amsterdam?
I attended school in Cranesville and later on in Amsterdam, and I finished high school in 1940.
All right. Now, once you graduated from high school, did you go to work right away? Did you go to school?
Well, there wasn't much work. That's another story here.
Mm-hmm.
It was the end of we were coming out of the Depression. So I went to join the Army, and I got rejected because I couldn't pass the eye exam. And there still wasn't much work around, so I joined the CCCs, the Civilian Conservation Corps. And in there, I met a lot of people and learned a lot of things about life. And from there, one of the members told me how to get in the Merchant Marine. So I hitchhiked to New York, and the Union wouldn't let any more people in because they were people that were still on the beach. So I went to Baltimore, and I got my Merchant Marine papers, which I have here.
Okay, you want to just hold those? I know they're a little tattered, but just hold them up in front of you, and we'll take a quick look. Okay. All right. Okay.
That's what's left of them.
Now,
give me your head.
what was your job aboard ship?
I was a wiper. I worked in the engine room.
Okay. And what did a wiper do?
Maintained the diesel engine of the ship.
Okay. Now, did you have to oil and?
We oiled, and we had to change the filters. That was our big job. And of course, on a ship, just like in the Navy, you had to paint, scrape and paint. We never did much on the deck because we were strictly engine room.
Okay. Now, what was your first trip?
My first trip, I got a discharge here. We went from Chesapeake Bay, and as we were leaving, there was a ship blown in half. It hit one of our mines. And we sailed out of Chesapeake Bay, and there was a ship on a reef in Diamond Shoals, and we wound up and we went around Cuba, Haiti, and I wound up in an oil refinery in Aruba, in the Dutch West Indies.
Now, what was the name of the ship you were on initially?
I was on the S.O. Augusta.
Okay, so it was
It was an oil tanker, and it was the newest and the largest of the Esso fleet.
Now, what was the pay like?
Well, once we left Chesapeake Bay, we were in war zone because of the submarine action, and we got double pay.
Oh. And did you have any Navy personnel aboard?
No, but we sailed under Navy orders. The
Okay.
Navy told us zigzag here, and you know.
Okay, but you didn't have like guns on the deck or
There was
anything?
no guns.
Okay.
The S.O. Augusta was the newest. The S.O. Augusta and the Winds were the newest of the fleet, and they could travel 18 knots loaded in the Gulf Stream, and the submarines didn't travel that fast, so they thought we were relatively safe.
Now, what was the food like aboard?
Wonderful.
Okay. And how many hours a day did you work?
We worked a regular shift, believe it or not.
Just like an 8-hour shift?
An 8-hour shift rather than 4 on and 4 off. We worked a straight hour shift.
Now, what did you do with your time off?
Well, of course, we went on the deck above stick and read and watched the waves go by.
Did you have any movies or anything like that?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
But an SO ship, Rockefeller believed in the sailor was worth $1 a day and all they could eat, and they fed you good.
Okay. And that was your first trip.
That was my first
Now
trip.
your subsequent trips after that, did you stay on the same ship or?
Yes, I
Okay.
did. And the next we wound up in Cartagena, Colombia. And we couldn't go ashore because there was too many German nostrils and they didn't want us fraternized with the civilians. And so we had to refuel at a buoy out in the harbor.
Uh-huh.
And then I got sick and tired of riding on a ship with no guns. And I decided I'd go on the beach for a while.
Now, were you ever fired at or under it?
No.
Okay. Okay, and how many people were aboard the ship?
I'm not sure. Maybe 30.
Oh, so it was a fairly small crew.
Yes, yeah. Well,
Okay.
what did it take to run an oil tanker?
Yeah.
You know?
How'd everybody get along?
Fine. Fine. They fed us, like I said, they had a mess. And the food was great.
All right. And so most of your trips were like
In the
the Atlantic,
Caribbean.
in the Caribbean. Okay.
Caribbean.
Okay. And you did that for how long?
Just a few months. And I decided I didn't like fighting a war with no guns.
Uh-huh. So did you join the Army at that point?
No. I wouldn't join the Army because they rejected me, right?
That's right.
So I waited for the draft.
So they drafted you.
Yes.
Oh, let me, okay, when were you drafted?
Where's my discharge? Is this it here? It had to be 42.
All right, let me ask you this. Where were you when you heard about the attack on Pearl Harbor?
I was home. I was in Amsterdam.
Okay, you weren't in the service?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. What was your reaction to that?
Well, everybody was rushing down to join up, and I still was a little peeved at the Army for rejecting me once.
Uh-huh. Now, at that point, were you working?
Yes, I got a job in American Locomotive, and that's what I was,
Okay.
and that was probably one of the better jobs I ever had.
Now, were you eligible for a deferment working for American Locomotive? Because they were part of the war effort, weren't they?
Yes, they were, but I think they tried, but you know, your bosses didn't want to leave you once they got you broke in.
Yeah.
But I didn't pursue it anyway. I just waited for the draft.
Okay. So you ended up getting drafted, and
Right.
they put you in the Army anyway.
Right.
All right. So you went into the Army,
Sure.
and where did you go for your basic training?
Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Mm-mm.
You never heard of it, but
Oh yeah.
it was an engineering out.
Okay. Now you did your basic training. Did you go on for additional training after basic?
Yes, they put me in a gas generating unit, making acetylene and oxygen for
Oh really?
hospitals and welding for,
Uh-huh.
because the Army engineer used a lot of gas and the
Yeah.
oxygen.
Hmm. So you had some kind of schooling for that.
Yes, but I had an accident and it ended my gas generating career.
Oh, what kind of accident?
I got shot on the range.
Oh really? Oh my God.
I took a bullet in my shoulder and it came out my back. And the same bullet went and hit the fellow in back of me and wound it up on the third guy in his arm.
Wow.
But the fellow that did the shooting, apparently, they didn't court-martial him because he was probably one of the better trained ones. So they deemed it an accident, and
Uh-huh.
that was it.
Okay, so you went into the hospital. How long were you in the hospital for?
11 days, I believe.
Oh, okay. And then what happened?
Well, then I went back. They sent me home on leave
Yeah.
because of the injury.
Sure.
I come home with a bandage, and I went back. They didn't know what to do with me, and there was an engineering outfit leaving for England that night, and I wound up on a troop ship within a couple days.
And you ended up over in
England.
England, okay. And were you put in a replacement center at that point?
No, we were based, a general service engineering outfit, and we were Actually, we were involved in shipping the Bailey bridges
Oh.
to other engineering the combat engineer outfits,
Uh-huh.
and we had to learn all 50 parts of the Bailey Bridge, and because it was a British bridge.
Mm-hmm. Now, when did you end up landing in England? Do you recall? Was it? Approximately.
1943.
Oh, it was 43. Okay.
In the spring, so probably March.
Okay. All right. And I see you were in the 5th Division, was it? The Red Triangle?
The engineer outfit, we naturally, I was in a base depot engineer, and when the town I was in, all the paratroopers went for D-Day. And of course we didn't make D-Day because we were base depot engineers.
Uh-huh.
And
this is, you're still in England?
I was still in England.
Okay.
And it's kind of enjoying myself.
Sure.
And
What town were you in?
town of Newbury.
Okay.
And we were based in, or built it in, the Newbury racetrack. And we were in the Par Mutual building with 2x4 bunks and chicken wire and body shrouds with straw in for mattresses.
Hmm.
Wow.
Wow.
And
Now, how long were you there for?
pretty near 11 months.
Wow.
And then we lost so many men in the Battle of Bulge, they needed instant replacements. They couldn't wait for coming from the States. So they scavenged all the outfits in England, the Air Force, the engineers, and took 10% of them and made us instant infantry men.
Oh.
And the training was rotten. So we had about 4 nights of that, sleeping in a squad tent in England in the wintertime. And we decided that we'd volunteer to go to action right now. Forget the training, it can't be any worse than this.
Ah. So you ended up in the Battle of the Bulge?
No. We wound up,
Right
because of the
after.
Battle
Oh,
of the
okay,
Bulge,
so it was right after.
there were so many troops lost.
Okay.
I think we actually lost more troops in the Battle of the Bulge than we did in the beaches in D-Day.
Okay.
The history will tell you that, I'm not actually sure.
Mm-hmm.
And from there on, I wound up in across the English Channel in a landing craft tank and landed in the beach in Cherbourg. And then they boarded us on 40 and 8s. And you heard about the 40 and 8
Sure.
boxcars from
Yep.
World War I?
Yep.
I think they were the same straw they had in World War I.
Ah.
And we went from the beach, or from the Cherbourg, went through Paris, and wound up in Metz, France.
Mm-hmm.
And then things got interesting.
Okay, tell us about it.
Being an infantry replacement, I wound up in an anti-tank company, 2nd Regiment Infantry,
Mm-hmm.
in Patton's 3rd Army, in Luxembourg, a little town called Discharged.
Mm-hmm.
And from then on, being an engineer, I had a driver's license. And the anti-tank company, the 1st platoon truck backed over a pile of German mines and lost the truck. And they did lose the gun, and they wounded a few men. They had no deaths, but the driver wouldn't drive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they put him in the kitchen, and I wound up driving.
Oh.
And I drove the weapons carrier towing a 57mm anti-tank gun from Luxembourg to Czechoslovakia till we met the Russians and told us to stop, and the war ended.
Well, I see you've got the combat infantry badge.
Yes.
So, what was it like the first time you were under fire?
I don't really recall, Rick.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So was it almost a constant thing?
We slept on the ground almost all the way.
Mm-hmm. And what about unit casualties?
I had, well, like you said, the combat experience. Probably the worst was we got caught by a German high-velocity gun. We were set up,
Mm-hmm.
and it decimated our unit pretty good. I got whacked a little bit, and concussion, and two guys next to me got killed, and another guy wound up as a battle fatigue.
Uh-huh.
And so we actually lost 3 men overnight.
Mm. Okay.
And
Did you feel that your equipment was sufficient? I mean, did you have everything you needed as far as ammunition and,
Oh, yes,
and clothing
yes,
and
yeah.
supplies and
well,
food?
being we were pinned down like that, we got permission by radio. We took the firing pin case out of the gun. It went back, and I was driving the truck, and I didn't have any tires on the left-hand side. They were all punctured, and we drove back to the headquarters, and they repaired the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And little did I know, my gas mask was in a compartment in back of the driver's seat.
Uh-huh.
And later on, they had a gas mask drill, and I pulled out, and my gas mask had a hole right through the canister. So
Oh
I
my
had
God.
a useless gas mask.
So was it from shrapnel or a
Yes,
rifle?
shrapnel from the- yeah.
Shrapnel, wow.
The same one, same shrapnel. It was a high-velocity gun.
Yep.
And they took everything.
Boy, you were lucky.
They decimated the truck. I'll tell you that.
Huh.
As far as wheels went.
Uh-huh. And you were with them right up till
Right
the
at
war
it,
ended. What was it? Well, prior to the war ending, you recall hearing about the death of President Roosevelt?
Yes. Oh yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. We found out the next day. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It was probably the only president you had ever known or
Right,
remembered.
right.
And then when the war in Europe ended, whereabouts were you?
In Czechoslovakia.
Czechoslovakia.
And we were stopped because they didn't want us to meet the Russians. They didn't
Mhm.
want us to fraternize with the Russians.
Uh,
Some of our boys went in and traded the guns and pistols with them. And,
uh-huh.
but,
Okay. What was that like when you heard that the war in Europe ended? Was there much celebration?
not really. It was just we fell back into Sudetenland in Germany and
Mhm.
turned in our guns. And they broke the outfit up to send us to Europe.
How
or
were you?
Send us to the Pacific.
How were you treated by the German population?
Fine. We got
Okay.
along.
Did you see any German POWs or?
We liberated 2 concentration
Oh, you
camps.
did. Okay.
But both of them, they weren't death camps. They were political
Political?
prisoner camps.
Okay. Were the prisoners in pretty rough shape though?
Terrible.
Yeah.
They were dying. They put 2 bodies and take them out in the morning in a stretcher. There was nothing left on them.
Mm. Now, do you recall the names of the concentration
No, I
camps?
don't.
No? Okay. All right. And did you spend much time there at the
No,
camps?
I
You
didn't
just,
want to
just
either.
liberated them and you
We
just
moved on, yeah.
Were they both in Germany,
Yes.
the
yes.
camps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm wondering if one might have been Dachau.
No, it wasn't a death camp. Dachau was a death camp.
Okay. Well, there were a lot of political prisoners
Oh, I
there,
don't
I
know.
know, too.
But there was a big German stomping around like he looked well fed, but he was a prisoner, and he could talk English. Because most of the Germans that were our age learned English in high school, but
Uh-huh.
they talked the King's English, not our English. They did. And I asked the guy how come he was in there as a prisoner, you know? And he said he was a sergeant on a coast artillery outfit facing England.
Mm-hmm.
And he got caught selling radios to the French resistance, and
Oh.
they threw him in prison camp.
Well, he was lucky they didn't shoot him.
But he looked like Rudolph Hess, a big tall guy stomping around with the boots. And He was the only well-fed one of the whole bunch,
Uh-huh.
as far as a prisoner goes. But he still was a prisoner.
Okay. And you mentioned they broke up the the unit, and there was a possibility you might go to the Pacific.
They took all the younger men.
Mhm.
The 5th Division had a bad record. That they had been in Iceland for months and months. I think it was about 18 months. And we used to call them the guys from the Rock, and they were very, very close-knit outfit. And I was an outsider. In fact, when 2 of the guys got killed next to me, they had been on the Rock, and they're looking at me, why didn't you get killed? We lost our buddy, you know?
Mm.
And they never really accepted it. We used to call them the Aqua Velvet kids because they liked to drink Aqua Velvet.
Oh, jeez.
Made your breath smell nice, but give you an awful headache, they told me.
Okay. So you were waiting to. You were in.
Well, they took all the lower, say the guys that had been in service the least,
Yeah.
they took them out of the outfit, and the old timers that had been on the Rock, they left them in the Army of Occupation, and they shipped us back to the United States to retrain and go
okay.
to the Pacific
All
for the
right.
invasion of Japan.
So whereabouts were you when the war with Japan ended? You were still in the States?
I was in Amsterdam. They
Oh.
give us 30 days when we hit,
Oh.
and I was in Amsterdam, the war ended, so
Well, that must have been a relief.
go ahead. And I wound up in Camp Campbell and waited for a discharge. And the guys they took out and left in Germany that had been on the Rock, they never got out for 18 more months.
Oh my gosh.
So I kind of got even with them, right?
Yeah. All right. So you were in Amsterdam. You got word that the war ended.
Right.
Did they extend your leave or?
No.
Okay. So you had to report to
Camp Fort. It was Camp Campbell then. It's
Yep,
not a fort.
Kentucky
Tennessee.
or Tennessee.
Well, Clarksville and Hopkinsville.
Okay.
Take your choice. Tennessee or Kentucky.
Okay, right on the border.
Right on the border.
Okay. And how much time did you spend there? You just got there and they discharged you, or were you there for a while?
Several weeks.
Oh, okay. So you were there for a while. Now, what did they have you doing? Details, or you just?
Well, I wound up. My buddies all wound up in the kitchen, so we all wound up in the kitchen.
Oh, doing KP.
No, I was a second cook.
Oh. So you guys ate pretty well then.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then they discharged you when?
And
Was it still in 45 or 46?
it should be here. No, 45. It had to be. Yeah, I don't have it.
Okay.
In 45.
All
So
right.
you were discharged before your younger brother?
Yes.
Okay.
You were married, because he was married too, right?
Yes.
Oh, you were married. When did you
Yeah.
get married? When did you get married? When you were home on leave? or-
No. Before I went. 1942.
Oh,
Okay.
After I got out of it.
Out of the
out of
merchant marine.
Merchant Marines. Okay, you got married.
Then I got a job in locomotive in
Okay.
Okay.
And you got married.
Now, where was your wife from? Locally?
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. Okay. Did you go to school with her or
No.
no?
No.
Okay. All right. So you were discharged, and then you came back home.
Right.
And did you make use of the GI Bill, or did you go to work or school?
No, I went back to work for the locomotive.
Okay.
They didn't. Maybe they didn't want to, but the law said.
They had to take you.
Right.
And did you end up retiring from there, or?
No. They went out of business, of course, and I worked for various contractors, and I worked for Mohawk Mills, and then I wound up in a GE.
Oh, okay. And did you retire from GE?
I retired. I'd been a foreman for 12 years in the GE.
Okay. Well, what part of the plant did you work in?
I worked in the materials reclamation division of large steam turbine and generator.
Okay.
That's a fancy word for the scrapyard.
All right, yeah, I was going to ask you if that's what it
My
kind of
bosses
sounded
were
like.
college boys, and they didn't like the name of salvage or scrap, so they called it materials reclamation.
Okay.
Okay.
And when did you retire from there?
Of August of 1984,
Oh, okay.
I went early.
Yeah. All right. Now, did you maintain contact with anyone you were in service with?
Only one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were buddies for a long while, and he was in Williamsburg. He came up when he got married and come up and visited. I think you met him, Spiller.
Hmm. Now, did you attend any kind of reunions?
No, I didn't.
No. Did you join any veterans organizations, like the VFW or the
I
Legion?
joined the Purple Heart
Okay.
and went through the chair, and I was commander of the Purple Heart for 1 year or so.
Mm-hmm. Now, you got they didn't give you a Purple Heart for being hit on the range.
Oh no.
But you got the during that one attack when you were wounded.
Right. That was in the they called it the Siegfried line, where all the
Mhm.
dragon teeth were.
Mhm.
That's where it happened.
Now, where were you wounded? Were you hit with shrapnel?
Head,
In the head. Okay. All right.
concussion, and I lost a tooth. And,
Yep. Okay. All right. How do you think your time in the service changed or affected your life?
Well, when you're young, you read about, say, traveling around the world in the French Foreign Legion and like that. It was the greatest adventure I ever had in my life.
Uh-huh.
There's no regrets, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There was bad times, but there was good times.
Sure.
You had to make your own good times, of course.
Yep. Now, you brought along some photographs or something
Yeah.
there?
There's, you can't see the truck, but this was taken in Germany probably after I shook up.
Okay. Let's see.
That's the, you bring your medal or no? Oh, I got some Gmail, I don't know what he wants.
Now, what is, it's obviously some sort of artillery piece you're sitting
Yes,
on?
it's a 57 millimeter anti-tank gun.
Okay. And what is that up in the, that's a picture of you up in the corner too?
Oh, I'm sitting on a barrel.
Right, but this little,
Oh, that was taken in Louisiana.
oh, okay.
They had one of these cameras that took 50 pictures on one shot.
Okay.
So I just left it in there.
Okay. Now, is that the only picture you brought?
That's all I brought. Yeah.
And I understand you received a citation too from the, was it from the French government?
Yes. There. Well, this is what they call it. I was appointed a Chevalier of the
Okay.
French Legion of Honor.
The American Society of the French Legion of Honor. Okay. And
You got that clip in for the club? Yeah, it's in my book that I read. Pardon?
okay.
Thank you.
Do you want to just hold that up in front?
Okay. She had a-
Now, is there a photo of you in that
No,
paper?
there isn't. I did send it in. It's just like what you're doing. You can send in a resume and or photographs if you want.
Okay.
I got this in November the 9th, November of 2012.
Okay.
Okay. All right, very nice. Suzanne, did you have any questions?
Well, if you were married during World War II, were you able to correspond with your wife? Did you get care packages from her or letters or?
Oh yes, I got from my mother. I got some Vmail. You know what
Okay.
Vmail is?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were able to get some packages
Oh, yes.
on occasion? And they actually reached you?
I didn't get many packages. A lot of the guys did, but they get cookies and popcorn. Everything was all mangled
Right.
up.
Yeah.
So I never requested any. We had pretty everything we wanted in England.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I didn't smoke, so I got my cigarette ration. I would save the cartons of cigarettes.
And
I
trade
get 4
them?
cartons of cigarettes, and I'd go to London. London was 50 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, because the war was all around us, and the Germans were sending the V2s into London.
Oh,
So we went to London to see the V2s. So they go put, and then
Yep.
a big explosion.
so you were there when some of
I
those
actually
landed?
saw the buzz bombs, and
Wow.
I never saw one
Buzz
get shot
bombs.
down,
Yep.
but I heard them when they hit the ground.
Now, did you see any USO shows at all when you were over there?
Glenn Miller came to Newbury once. That was when I was in England.
Oh, okay.
Nothing on the continent, no. No, we were moving too fast. The Third Army didn't wait for
Mhm.
USO shows. Patton wouldn't bother with that.
Now, what about stateside? Did you see any at all?
No.
No. Okay.
Did you ever see General Patton as he
Only
came
once. He
through?
rode by in a convoy with the sirens blowing
Right?
and a cheap guy
Yeah.
on a 50 riding around.
Yep.
But that was it. That's all we
Oh,
saw.
so you didn't get to converse with him at all?
No, he didn't. He thought the 5th Division was good, till he tried to get the 5th Division to take the forts in Metz,
Mm-hmm.
and he thought we'd take it in 4 days, and took all 5 weeks, and he was very disappointed with the 5th Division, and he didn't like us anymore after that.
Hmm.
We weren't his prize infantry division.
Oh.
All right. Anything else you'd like to touch on that we may have forgotten, or?
So your medals, you
Oh,
received
yeah.
a European Theater Campaign medal.
Here's a letter I got from Cyrus Vance, and it lists them all. If you-
Oh, great.
Well, do you want to read them off?
Would you like me to read them, or?
I don't want to read them.
Okay. All right.
You
He,
can have this.
it states that Mr. Kruger received the Bronze Star Medal based on the Combat Infantry Badge, which was previously issued.
Okay.
He received, records showed that he was also received the Purple Heart and the Good Conduct Medal. And it states that you could replace those if they were damaged or lost. Did you lose them or something?
No.
Or, no? Okay. And then it also mentions how you can go about getting your medals sent back to you again. And Bronze Star Medal, Conspicuous Service Cross from the state of New York.
of New
You
York,
received
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
American Campaign Medal, European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal with 3 stars, World War II Victory Medal, and the Army of Occupation Medal with Germany clasp.
Pretty impressive.
Okay. There are 46 service medals.
See who signed it?
And it is signed by Secretary of the Army.
Cyrus Vance. He was a pretty famous man, wasn't he?
I guess so. Yes, you're correct.
And it's handwritten, too.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
handwritten.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get the. Okay,
Okay.
got it. All right.
Wow.
Anything
I'm
else?
gonna write those down.
Well, now I got the French Legion of Honor on,
Okay.
but I did have the New York State considered.
Yeah.
I don't hear much about that anymore.
No, they still give it out.
But it's very attractive.
My
Yeah.
father received one.
He's a very attractive medal.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. My dad got one too.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your interview.